The first night she threw me out, it was raining. Not the kind of rain you see in movies, just a quiet, steady drizzle that seeps into your clothes and makes you realize this isn't temporary. This is real. I stood on the porch with one suitcase, still carrying the scent of my husband's cologne, while his mother locked the door behind me. She didn't yell. She didn't have to. Her smile did all the harm. Thin, satisfied, victorious. "You were temporary," she said calmly. "This house isn't." That was the moment something inside me went hard. The grief was still there, heavy and crushing. But underneath it, something colder began to form. Something patient. I didn't beg. I never do. I walked away barefoot, letting the rain wash away the last illusion I had about family. Years earlier, I had met her in that same house, standing proudly beside the man I loved. She hugged me, called me Beta, fed me sweets, told everyone I was the daughter she never had. I believed her because I wanted to, because my husband loved her and loving him meant trusting her. She smiled through our wedding, through our small wins, through the day he signed papers I didn't fully read, because grief hadn't yet entered my life and trust still felt solid. When he got sick, she moved closer and took control of everything. "Let me handle it," she said. "You're too emotional." I let her. That's the part that still hurts. When he died, she didn't cry. She watched me cry, studied it. Then, 1 week later, she asked for the house keys. The warning signs came quietly. Documents went missing. Bank statements were redirected. Conversation stopped the moment I walked into a room. She started calling the house hers again. I found the first lie buried in a file she didn't know I could access. A power of attorney dated 6 months before my husband died, signed on a day he could barely hold a pen. I didn't confront her. I smiled. People misunderstand silence. They think it means weakness. It doesn't. Silence is where strategy lives. I slept on couches, wrote things down, made phone calls I never mentioned. I replayed old conversations in my head, not to relive the pain, but to spot patterns. She wanted me frantic, emotional, loud. I gave her calm. I hired a lawyer quietly. Not an aggressive one, but a careful one. The kind who reads every footnote twice and notices what others rush past. Together, we rebuilt timelines, compared signatures, pulled medical records, and tracked down witnesses she never thought would matter. That's when we found it. The clause. My husband had known. Not everything, but enough. Enough to protect me in the only way he could without starting a war while he was still alive. He hid it where she would never think to look. In a separate trust amendment triggered only if the inheritance was challenged, or the surviving spouse was forced out. She triggered it herself. On the day of the will reading, she dressed like she was going to a celebration. Pearls. Soft lipstick. The same smile she wore the night she locked me out. I sat across from her, hands folded, face calm. She took my silence as surrender. When the lawyer read the main allocations, she relaxed. The house was hers. The accounts were hers. The investments were hers. She turned to me and finally said it out loud, enjoying every word. "Hope you like living on the streets because I made sure you get nothing." I met her eyes without blinking. That's when the lawyer cleared his throat. There was one final clause. The room changed, not loudly, but in a way you could feel, like the air before a storm. He read on, voice steady and exact. Any attempt to remove the surviving spouse or change agreed living arrangements would automatically transfer all trust assets to the spouse. Her pearls shook as she stood up. "That's impossible," she said. The lawyer didn't argue. He simply slid the papers toward her. I watched her read them, watched certainty drain from her face, watched power leave her hands. When she looked at me again, I wasn't an inconvenience anymore. I was a threat she should have dealt with sooner. "You planned this," she whispered. I shook my head. "No," I said quietly. "You did." I moved back into the house alone. I changed the locks. I kept what I wanted and gave away the rest. She fought it, of course, but courts don't respond to smirks. They respond to proof. She lost the house, then the trust, then her influence in rooms where she once ruled. I never raised my voice. I never celebrated in public. Revenge doesn't need an audience. Now when I walk those halls, I don't hear grief anymore. I hear clarity, control, closure. I love my husband. I still miss him. But I no longer mourn the woman I thought his mother was. In the end, she taught me something important. Kindness without boundaries is an invitation. And silence, when used correctly, is a weapon. I didn't take everything from her. I took what she believed belonged to her. And that was enough.